So, hello, Judy.
Hi, Kate.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. You?
Yes, good, thank you. And thank you for agreeing to let me interview you today about your talk about trauma at the AAMET Conference. This is the first video that we're doing. We're trying to interview everybody that's coming to speak with us to give people an idea of who's going to be speaking at the conference and what they're going to be talking about. And you have chosen the fascinating subject of trauma. I know you've been researching trauma and putting together the modules for our new AAMET Masters program. And I know that you've got lots of ideas and thoughts about trauma. Perhaps you could share some of those with us today.
Okay. I sort of feel that I didn't choose trauma. Trauma chose me. I was working on ideas about how to be happy in a troubled world, but trauma kept coming back and hooking me, and in the end I just gave in. I had been doing a lot of work on trauma because I was preparing the 4 trauma modules for the AAMET Master of Applied EFT, and there is just so much new stuff since, well, even in the last couple of years, that it was really quite a lot of work to read, to catch up, but also I thought, even more importantly, to put it into a context of, well, okay, so what's useful about that for therapists? You know, the research is interesting in itself, but what does it tell us about how we can work better with trauma? Which is been a subject that's always interested me from experiences of client practice as well as academically. So trauma it is.
Trauma it is. And what if you were going to define trauma, how would you define it?
Well, I've always thought of it as a wounding. You know, it comes from the Greek word for wounding, a wounding of our ability to cope, our innate self-healing mechanisms, our resources for coping. Somehow it's something that overwhelms those, either very briefly or in the longer term, but has some sort of an effect on how thereafter we see ourselves, how we see the world. It can even be something quite small, as we know, with what we call small t or everyday trauma, all the way from to major trauma, all have a considerable effect.
Yes.
And so I have a very broad definition.
Yes, and the model that I work to with trauma is anything that overwhelms our system. And if for a small child, that can be being looked at in a certain way, and obviously then over to extreme trauma of being in a war zone or in a car crash or something like that. But all these things traumatize us, and it's all relative, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So how is EFT effective with trauma?
Well, I think EFT is extremely effective with trauma, but I don't think EFT alone is enough. I think, just thinking that you can go in and tap on the memories or tap on the symptoms it's just not, there's not enough depth to that. I think that people using EFT with trauma, especially major trauma, need to have an academic framework into which they can fit it. They need to have an understanding of what's happening at different levels. And ideally, other techniques as well. I'm a great believer in therapy to the client, not the other way around. And that means that the more ways you know to work, the better the chance that you'll find something that's really relevant for an individual. So that's things like your TRE that you're workshop on as well. So I see EFT as an important part of the package, but not the whole package.
Yes, and I think it's interesting what you're saying about understanding the framework of trauma and what happens to the brain and what's happening for the client when we're working on them. It's really, really important to understand that, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. Yes,
yeah.
So despite my attempts to go for happiness, trauma hijacked me.
But it's such a fascinating subject, and it is so amazing to work with trauma and bring the client to a place of transformation. It's also incredibly enjoyable work. I find it so.
Yes, and such important work, I think, to stop it being passed from generation to generation. There's nothing that will affect the genetic transmission, which we now understand a lot better than we did, but we can certainly by helping people to deal with trauma in one generation, we can stop them from traumatizing the next generation, and that generation traumatizing the one after by, brutal parenting and all the sorts of ways that people will be traumatized by being in the environment of a traumatized person. So I think it's one of the best things to do. And then, of course, with wars with refugees, there are just so many people who've had a terrible experience.
Yes. And the great thing about EFT is that you can bring it to large groups. And we've both had colleagues who've gone out into trauma zones and worked with large groups of people, and it's been incredibly effective.
Yes, I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yes. Oh, well, I can't wait to hear you talk about it. Have you got any specific theme with regard to trauma that you're going to talk about, or are you going to wing it, Judy?
Well, wing it in a way, because I'm notoriously bad at changing my presentations every week until the day they actually happen. But having to try to find a unifying key of some sort.
Yes.
I made the theme 5 essential keys for working with trauma.
Okay.
5 of the most useful things that I think I've learned. But I'm not sure which 5 I'm picking yet. I keep changing them. So work in progress.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, well, I await to be amazed and surprised, Judy. 5 keys, no, I think that's lovely, because that's nice for people to have a takeaway of 5 really key things that you have learned. And I'm sure there's 50 key things that you've learned, but to be able to take a few nuggets away from the conference of your wealth of experience will be absolutely marvellous.
I hope so. I know I will. That's just the way I operate. I might even change them on the day. No, I won't change them on the day.
No, don't change them on the day. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Judy. Thank you for joining us. And we will, you and I will meet very soon, and we will both see you all at the conference, at the AAMET conference. And we do hope you'll join us there. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.